Ladies and gentlemen, you have been listening to the American Pulse. I am Dr. Nik Nikam along with Bangar Reddy here, along with Bob Eberle, who is our special guest. Bangar, what else do you have on your mind?
Yeah, just I would like to focus on today's segments, what is coming up, what is lined up. And today we have segment 1, which is more about spotlight on Bob Eberle, who is here. And he will be our first guest. And Bob Eberle is the GOP chair for the Fort Bend County. I would like to introduce and welcome Bobby Eberle, who is our very dynamic and active, traveling all across Fort Bend County, engaging citizens for how the politics are and where your vote should be. And Bobby holds a PhD in aerospace engineering, and he's an actual rocket scientist. And he was ranked in the top 10 in the nation in men's tennis in his division. And he was also a 3-time national champion for race car driver. And Bobby has been active in grassroots conservative politics since 1990s, serving in various positions at local, state and national levels. And Bobby is more importantly a weekly panelist on Newsmax and has appeared on Fox News, One America News, News Nation, the BBC and other networks. Bobby is the host of his own show, which is 13-minute news hour, and he is our, of course, as I said, very dynamic chairman of Fort Bend County Republican Party, and we are very happy to have you, Bobby. And on top of that, Bobby is so passionate to be a student. He is working on a master's degree in theology from the University of Notre Dame. Welcome, Bobby Eberle.
Thank you, Bangar. It's a pleasure to be here. Nick, it's great to be on the show, and congratulations to all of you. I mean, the launch of this program, American Pulse, I can't think of a better title, because we're trying to get the pulse of Fort Bend County too, and those people that are in touch with the pulse in the most diverse county in the entire state are the ones who are going to succeed, because you can't preach policy to folks if you don't know your neighbor.
Absolutely. Knowledge is power.
Exactly. But you have to build those relationships. Folks that are listening, before we went on air, I was talking with Bangar, and we're talking about being out in the community and just making friends, building relationships, building friendships. And from there, you can talk about policy, you can talk about ideas, but if you're not out in the community and you're not sharing what's going on, and learning from other cultures, other religions in Fort Bend County, you're just going to be lost.
Yeah, you're right. They say politics is always local. I say it starts at the dinner table.
That's right.
Husband and wife may be two different parties, but that's where the discussions start. And the more we know about how politics works, and maybe you can enlighten us on as especially the Republican Party, about the Fort Bend County. That's where you are the chair. And tell us about the population, how many Republicans are there, and the process, so that I think educating our public, especially the ethnic communities, is very important, because this is all new to us,
right.
And we don't have that enthusiasm, I should say,
right.
to just get up and go and do an early voting, for that matter.
Sure. Well, yeah, I'll share some enthusiasm with you.
Yes,
I've got some.
I mean, that's what we need. We need to pump up our audience.
Exactly. Well, that's what I was saying. Just even in the introduction, Fort Bend County is a great place to live, because if you look at the data, it's tied with Williamson County out of Austin as the fastest growing county in the entire state. Okay,
Yeah.
So it's the fastest growing, it's the most diverse in the entire state, top 5 in the country. So you come to Fort Bend County and you're going to get a mix of everything. It is just a fantastic place to be. We've got about 850 or so thousand people, 8th or 9th, and it's right there as far as population size out of the 254 counties. And we have a chance here as Republicans to really send a message, not just across Texas, but across the entire country, that diversity is a plus, and people of diverse communities, race, religion, or ethnicity, can vote Republican, because our conservative constitutional principles lift everyone up.
Yes.
And we're not about division, we're not about racial politics, we're about bringing people together. And so I want to get these communities excited, because if we see what's going on, and we see with the crime economy, we can talk about the issues later, but we have a philosophy and a message and policies that will bring people together, make Fort Bend better, reduce crime, lower our taxes, and support our schools and our children. And these are just core issues that everyone can relate to. And this is what I'm out there to promote.
Absolutely. You just mentioned about diversity. In fact, Fort Bend County is like a melting pot of communities from maybe more than 100 different countries.
Right.
I would say.
I would call it as a United Nations of Fort Bend County.
Yes, that's right. People talk about cultural diversity. I really want to change the term into cultural unity,
Right.
harmony, because we are not trying to be culturally diverse,
so
even though we are ethnically and culturally
Right.
diverse. But we are trying to see some common ground as where we can work. At the business place, we don't have an issue with cultural
Right.
So
diversity.
that-
But at the social level, at the community level, the cultural diversity needs to be turned into a cultural harmony or cultural unity.
And I love that. And I grew up in an era where we had more of that.
Yes.
We talked about the great American melting pot. And that is do you push your heritage aside? Do you put it to the back burner? No.
No.
You're proud
Yes.
of that. But there's a reason why people from all over the world escaped depression and came to
Yes.
America. It's to be American, to be free. So yes, you can come from India or France or Great Britain, but once you're here, everyone knows that you can live in France as much as you want,
Yes.
long as you want, you will never be French.
Yes.
But you come here, and from day
Yes.
one,
You're
you're
French.
American.
You are American.
And that's what we need to bring people together and celebrate these great heritage that people bring. But remember, we're here to be Americans, and that's the
Yes.
unity. That's what brings us
Living
together.
here for 30 years, Bobby, I noticed that this is the happiest place. I haven't moved out of Fort Bend County
Right.
ever since 90s.
Right.
And I feel that there is a lot of diversity and happiness.
Mhm.
And I feel that those values are coming down, and that's why I think it's again important to bring back. And I'm very happy to see the diversified community. When I say, you see that, they are equally. I can see that 20% of, Latino Americans
Right.
and 30% of white Americans, 20%, 30% of Asian Americans, 20 equally divided.
Yes.
So they are happily living in harmony, and that's not an issue at all. Fort Bend County is a great place for everybody, and it is basically engages and happily living community, and I'm very happy to be part of it.
Right.
And I have a question, Bobby. What as a Fort Bend County Chair, can you tell our listeners what are your responsibilities? I know that you are block walking with
Right,
all the
yes.
candidates, and you are doing more than maybe you are working 18 to 20 hours per day, and I don't know when you are sleeping.
Right, well, yeah, it's intense, and so, you have the candidates out there, and they are working so hard, and they are focused on educating voters on the jobs they will do. Like Trevor Nels at for county judge. He's a great candidate, and he's out there showing what the county judge does, and what he'll do in that role, and how he'll be better, and I know that he's going to win. My job and the party's job is to support our candidates and to promote our conservative Republican message throughout the community. So we're going out there block walking, and we're mainly focusing on the people that may not have been engaged in politics that much, these swing voters, and show them that, hey, do you like the situation that we see in Fort Bend County or across America with inflation or taxes or crime or the border? If you don't, we've got a plan, and give us a chance, vote Republican. And that's my job. My job is to support our candidates and to educate the voters so that come November and come early voting, that they'll vote our way.
Yeah, you talked about supporting the candidates, and maybe you can focus more on how do we educate the public, because as I said, we have a very diverse community in the Fort Bend area, and a lot of them are not familiar with these candidates or what positions they run for or what points they stand upon.
Right.
And so how do we educate our community in different places?
Well, one way is that we are coming to the community, and I don't think you can beat that. We are out there now. We are everywhere. I try to be, and our candidates are, and I've made great friends, Bangar, and just I love the guy, and we are out there in the community educating voters. On the other way is I invite people to head to our website, and it's fbcgop.org, FortBendCountyGOP.org. We've totally revamped it. We've got just a ton of information on our candidates. Early voting starts soon. We have a tremendous election page, fbcgop.org/election 2022. And if you're out or in around town during early voting, you just pull up a map and hit one of the polling locations. It'll give you directions right there. Yeah, and the one nearest you.
Hello?
And you can find out about the issues, and you can find out about our candidates. So that's where I would drive people to find out more. And those people that feel that pull to get involved, whether it's a poll worker or you want to help block walk, there's a form to fill out there, and we have a great team that actually responds. So anyone that contacts us, they're gonna get a response, and we'll put them to
So
work.
that is Bobby, because he's very handy, he's available, he never talks, takes about his role, but more about the challenges. And I'm very happy to have you, Bobby, because I've worked with you. He's a very friendly person. First of all, he would like to have just to be with you, listen to you, and it doesn't have to be politics. And I know that this American Pulse is more about issues. We would like to bring issues to our public officials, both Republican and Democratic challengers, and see that those are addressed. And Bobby, so saying so, can you tell me what are the top 3 issues that you are, what you see as important to our community, and why they should vote for Republican candidates?
Yeah, absolutely, Bangar, and Nick, brought it up earlier, is that the politics are local, so you can talk about the national issues, but let's look at what's going on locally, because you can talk about crime. Crime is a major issue, but how is it locally? All right, we have the FBI data, freshly posted, and it shows the dramatic increase in crime in Fort Bend County. Murders up 466% just since 2018 when the Democrats took over. Rapes up 104%, and aggravated assaults up 93%. That shows a complete failure of the other side. And when you talk about supporting the police, when you talk about being tough on criminals, Republicans can get the job done. So those people that out there with families or just individuals that want to walk down the street or feel like it's okay to drive to work or just be safe in your communities, vote Republican. That is a driving issue. And the other one is the economy. There are things that we can do in Fort Bend County with the property and business appraisals going through the roof. We need to be offering tax relief to Fort Bend County residents. Republicans will do that. And those 2 issues right there are major issues that affect everybody in Fort Bend County. Republicans have a plan, they can handle it better, and that's why people should vote Republican.
Okay, we have a very young Fort Bend resident who has some questions about politics, and we're going to get him online. And before we get him online, after you answer the question, I would like you to address the issue of how people can volunteer with the Republican Party. All right?
Absolutely.
So let's see if we can get this person online, if I'm positive. Hello, you are on American Pulse. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Oh, good, wonderful. What is your name, and tell us
What's
what
your
is
question?
your question?
My name is Twinkie, and
How old are you, Twinkie? If I ask you.
I'm 11 years old.
Oh, 11 years old?
Nice.
Wonderful. Go ahead. We'd love to hear
That's
from
so
you.
wonderful, 11-year-old for our first show.
Yes, go ahead, please.
I'm a sixth grader who lives in Sugar Land.
Yes.
But the school buses have been taken away due to the 2-mile radius just this year. And the road I have to walk on is called University Boulevard.
Yeah.
And it's very dangerous to walk on because of the speed limit.
I see.
What is the solution to this? Because we have been sending many emails and trying to get in touch with the county on behalf of the many years.
That is very sweet of you for bringing such an important question, and that is also in mind. And I did receive some. So by the way, this is Bangar uncle. And so I would ask our GOP chair to answer that question. I know that this year they discontinued some of the buses, and with that there is a real discomfort, or not only discomfort, it's very dangerous for 11-year-old or kids to cross the main street and in order to go to the school. So how do you address
Yeah,
that?
exactly. And I mean, we're seeing some of this fallout, post-COVID coming back, where there's teacher shortages
Yes.
and they're cutting bus drivers and just restaffing is a big issue. But I invite them to call if they live in Fort Bend ISD, to call and make that an issue in the school board. You know, we just had school board elections. We did very well. We elected a few new solid conservatives. You know, address that, bring that up in the issue, and hopefully now we'll have a more responsive board to address that, because I drive down University, and that is, you're absolutely right, it's very busy, could be dangerous, especially for
even
children.
if it is very dangerous to drive even, and imagine for the kids to pass through that heavy intersection. It's a boulevard, it's not even a single lane.
Right.
And every day the parents have to watch how they have reached the school. And this is very important. I think our community should address this immediately. And Bobby, by the way, every time we see that the budget has increased, it's not that we have to cut down, you know, staff or the buses. But when you look at the budget, because of COVID, you know, in fact, we got more funds, and that should be allocated for the safety and well-being of our
Yeah,
children.
absolutely right, and I invite them, sounds like a future, you know, a future person we want in the Republican Party.
Definitely,
She is very in tune
Yeah.
with what's going on, so we might get her to volunteer. I like that.
See, that's one of the main aims of American Pulse here, is to encourage the younger generation to take the initiative. And I'm so glad the first phone call we received is from a teenager, or a preteen, I should
Right,
say.
yeah, it's great.
And express important issues that are happening locally in the community. And crossing a street is not a simple question, you know. I mean, it can be good life.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
And okay, you're already learning that, you know, whenever we have an issue, we have to take it with the particular department that deals with these issues. If it's something to do with the city roads, you go to the city council, and if it is something to do with the schools and school buses, we have to go to the school board. They are the ones who make the decision as to, you know, what can be changed to address your particular question. So, do you have another question?
No, that was my only one. Thank you.
And
Okay, thank you so much for calling, and keep listening to us.
And I do know that you have talked about how you want everybody to come and vote, and which is very important, especially Asian community. They are very busy on social media,
Right.
on day-to-day basis.
Right.
And but when it comes to voting, only way we can participate is participate by voting.
That's right.
And that's what we lack. And this time we are making sure everybody goes and participate in early voting.
Right.
And unless you vote, because it's very busy life every day. Family
Exactly.
and friends. But this is also very important. So
Yeah.
what do you want to say, especially in this election time?
Well, it just echoes what you said. I mean, we have these major issues, and we have people frustrated, we have people scared in the communities, we have people that want change.
Yes.
Okay, so, but if you're not going to be an elected official,
Your name, please?
you need to vote. That's your voice. That's the way to affect change. So if people
No problem.
sit around and complain, but they don't get out there and vote, they're losing their opportunity, because other people will. Other people will get out there and vote, and then you're wondering, well, why did we get this group of candidates elected and not our group of candidates? Well, maybe because we didn't have that one extra hour of block walking, or have contributions to send one extra mailer, or the volunteers,
hold on.
or people
We'll
just
get you on
staying
air
home
and then we will-
to vote
Just hold
and not voting. I mean, so there's a lot people can do, and the number one is to get out there and vote Republican this time around. We can change the course of Fort Bend County. We can send a message across the country that diversity is a plus, and that communities across the board embrace Republican conservative philosophy.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have been listening to the American Pulse. I am Dr. Nik Nikam, along with Bangar Reddy here, along with Bob Eberle, who is our special guest, and we will be continuing with the next segment of this program. And the number to call here is 713-974-4000. Again, you're on American Pulse. The number to call here is 713-794-4000. Bob Eberle, thank you so much for coming and talking about the Fort Bend County Republican Party, and more particularly the election process and why it is so important for people to get engaged. And one way to get engaged is to volunteer.
That's
so tell
right.
us about how people can volunteer.
Well, yeah, there's just a number of ways to get involved, And for those of the, out there that are pressed for time and they can't really, go door to door or anything like that, I invite them to contribute and help the party. You can go to the Fort Bend County website is fbcgop.org. There's a button right at the top to donate, and we appreciate any donations that we get. For those that can give their time, we have opportunities to block walk, we have opportunities to help with phone banking. There's a lot that needs to be done, and we welcome any and all volunteers. We're excited to get them, because when people show up now, not only do we put them to work, but we have a great environment, and they want to come back, and they get to meet our candidates, and they see other people who are passionate about the Republican cause. And so just go to our website, there's a contact us, there's a volunteer form. You just check off the boxes on what you'd like to do, and we'll get in touch with you.